welcome back. Happy New Year. It's 2024. Hopefully your 2023 was great. I hope that this year's even better for you. It was certainly good for us. We're continuing to grow, continuing to help more and more people. We helped hundreds of students this past year. I was on tour probably 20 weeks out of the year in varying cities around the country. And I worked with more people from other countries. We're over 60 countries, 4 different continents now, 6,000 students I've been able to help out. And I certainly do appreciate, everybody that supports us and seeks me or Dragon Billiards as a company for assistance with your game. I can't do this without you guys. So thank you for continuing to subscribe. And I really want to make sure that this is a great value to you. So whether you're working separately with me in person or online or not, if you're just here to watch the videos, please don't hesitate. If you got some questions, reach out, make some requests. I'm here for you. So let me know how I can be of more assistance to you. Now, in the previous videos, what we've talked about a lot is maneuvering the cue ball, moving the cue ball, making the cue ball do something. That's what positioning is all about, right? And when we talked about pattern versus position, we're talking about how to let the table earn the position for you. It's all about landing on the correct side of the ball, right? But the big reason why a lot of times people are asking for help with positioning is because they need to make the cue ball do something it doesn't want to do. In order to understand the difference between what does the cue ball want to do and not want to do so we can make better decisions for positioning, we got to understand a couple things about aim, spin, and speed. So those are the 3 things that you're able to control: aim, spin, and speed. The aim on this particular shot, or any shot, is determined based on the line of centers. We've got our ghost ball, we've got our object ball in the center of the pocket. That's our line of centers. And the angle at which the cue ball approaches that shot determines where the cue ball is going to want to go in the first place. But so does the speed and the spin. And the speed and the spin, they work together, but they're also a little bit opposite sometimes, where one doesn't help the other. For example, if you hit very hard, sometimes that spin doesn't work the way that you expect it's going to, because it can't grip. The cue ball is like tires on ice, right? You can hit as hard as you want, and you give it a bunch of spin, but the cue ball, after contact with the object ball, will always, and I mean always, I don't care how soft you hit it, for a brief period of time, follow the tangent line before changing. So even when it does the 30-degree rule, right? We understand the 30-degree rule. What happens is the cue ball is going to start on the tangent line and then dive forward into that 30-degree rule. Same thing with draw. We learned the trisect angle for draw. It starts on the tangent line and then it turns. Very important. So, in a previous lesson, we talked about this particular shot, this example, right? Our line of centers is here. We have 3 choices. We can have the cue ball to the left. It can be straight, or it can be over here to the right. And we identified that to the right is better, because we can just follow this tangent line that brings us beautifully over here for that shape on that 9 ball. And we also identified we don't need any side spin, because if the angle in equals angle out, and that gives us the shape, why give it side spin? Side spin just makes shots harder, because of squirt, deflection, swerve, and throw, until you learn how to aim with it. But even if you learn how to aim with it, it still makes things less accurate, increases the chance for missing a shot, right? So we know that with the object ball being this far away from the rail, we have time for the cue ball to change the direction. We have time between here and here. If I want draw and I want to hit up here, if I want follow and hit down here, or if I want stun and hit over here, we have time for the ball to get there. Let's talk about the distance between the cue ball and the object ball. When the cue ball's back here, by the time it gets over there, unless I'm hitting it hard, right, I got to think about that speed. So let's say I'm going to hit this with a center ball, and I'm not going to hit it hard. The cue ball followed the 30-degree path. The cue ball, now see, the angle determined where that ball was going to go, but the speed at which I hit that shot determined that by the time the ball hit there, it was picking up a forward roll because of that friction. What happens if I give it the same angle, but I bring it much closer? I'm going to try and do the best I can with the same speed. Center ball. Wow. I didn't do anything different. I didn't hit higher on the first one or lower on the second one. Both of them were center ball hits, but the speed, I did the best I could to hit about the same. But you see how the ball, because when it hits that object ball, like I said, it always follows the tangent line first. Because the distance between the cue ball and the object ball were not very great, the cue ball wanted to stay sliding off the object ball. Because the cue ball wanted to stay sliding off my tip. It doesn't want to change. So I have to work with that. I have to understand that. It would take more effort. It's not that I can't get that ball to follow something more like the 30-degree rule. I can hit super high and super soft and make that ball dive in here and go against what the cue ball wants to do. Or I can work with what the cue ball wants to do. So since the cue ball wants to follow the tangent line when it's close, and it wants to roll when it's back here, we can make these decisions a little bit in the favor of working with the cue ball instead of against it. From here, if I want that cue ball to follow the tangent line, I have to understand that this is work. And if that's work, I can make some decisions. Can I still get there by following 30-degree rule with a bunch of left-hand English? I certainly can. Is that more or less effort than what the cue ball wants to do? It's kind of the same concept of using inside English. If I follow tangent line, give it some left English, well, the cue ball wants to go that direction. It's just going to keep zinging. The more I follow into going high and follow this 30-degree rule, the more side spin I have to give it. Because the cue ball wants to go that direction now. So it would take more effort for me to give it side spin to pull it back. The best thing I can do here is to hit a stun shot without side spin, or hit a softer stun shot with side spin to account for that rotational energy that it's going to pick up when it hits that rail and picks up speed coming down. What happens when this object ball gets very close over here? When the object ball is very close to that rail, does the cue ball have an opportunity to change from the object ball to the rail? Not really. I mean, if I give this guy a bunch of draw, it's still, for the most part, of course I'm on the wrong side of things now, I'm going to follow that tangent line. I mean, I hit very low, but it didn't grip. Why? Because from here to here, it never had a chance to get off that tangent line. So how do I get where I got to go? The only way that's going to happen here is with side spin. When you are coming into a ball, and I don't want to use angles as reference, I want to talk about what does the cue ball want to do. When you are coming into a ball that doesn't have an opportunity to change path between the object ball and the rail, you're going to have to manipulate using more side spin because of the tangent line. The cue ball stays sliding into the rail. Okay? When you're further away, you have to understand you got to use a bigger stroke, because even though this is an angle where with a good stroke you can get a little bit of draw on this and help it backwards, right? The cue ball wants to be rolling by the time it hits there. We have to overcome that. This is work. It's a lot of work. Okay? Here. Think about what the cue ball wants to do here. It's so straight, the cue ball doesn't want to move. The object ball is going to take all the energy. So anything we do on the cue ball is going to take a lot of work. Again, while I can go through all of the different angles of shots and talk about the top, center, bottom, lefts, and rights, the first step is identify the old saying from Jeff Goldblum. What was his name? Ian Malcolm, I think, in Jurassic Park. He said, you know, we spent so much time thinking about if we could, we never thought about if we should. So if you're watching these videos and you're taking notes and you're trying to learn how to position the cue ball and how to maneuver it, because you keep leaving yourself these shots and you don't know how to get from here to there, I want you to ask yourself, what would have happened if I had just started off by figuring out patterns? If I had identified how to get on the correct side of the ball instead of the suicide? How much easier can my life be by identifying how does the table give me shape? Patterns will always, in my opinion, be more important than positioning. And it's not to say that positioning is not important, because sometimes your opponent leaves you tough. But how often are your runs over because you left you tough? If your opponent left you tough, that's when you miss on shot number one, right? But if you're running 2 or 3 balls and that can't get to that 3rd or 4th ball, well, that's you. That's not your opponent at that point. And that's more about your patterns than your position. Guarantee it. So, I hope this gives you some inspiration to identify, what does the cue ball want to do? If I'm far away, it wants to roll by the time it gets to that object ball, and anything else is work. If it's close, it wants to follow the tangent line, and anything else is work. And if the object ball is far from the rail, well, it's not too much work to change that. But if the object ball is very close to the rail, well, that's a lot of work. Be a lazy pool player. Stop shots whenever possible. Be lazy, be boring, forget all the flashy stuff, forget all the positioning that makes this pool game difficult but beautiful at the same time. And learn to be lazy. I want to land on the correct side of that ball, so everything I'm doing is just straight roll, straight stuns, and I don't have to do anything with side spin. Wishing you all a wonderful 2024. Happy and healthy to you and your families. And again, if there's something else I can do for you, let me know. Keep subscribing, keep checking out for more videos coming up, and thank you for everything. Really can't thank you guys enough. Train better, do better, and shop better. DragonBilliardsInstruction.com.